I was literally like a hitman living out of a suitcase with a couple of laptops, a hard drive, and a camera consistently, and a tripod. So even when I walked around, people would be like, yo, what does that guy do? Because you have this long tripod box and people don't know it's a tripod. People think, okay, this is special ops or some crazy stuff.
Ted Josiah is a legendary music producer in Kenya, known for his hits like I'm Unbogable by Gidi Gidi Maji Maji. But before we move forward, hit the subscribe button to stay tuned to our future stories. At the moment, Ted owns Jokajok, a luxury leather bags company.
I started music production back in 1990, straight after high school. What happened was I had a love for music, and there was never any urban music. When I say urban, I mean there was no music that was ngoma ya wase wa mtaa, unajua. There was music from river music, Benga music was there, and then there was a lot of Western R&B and country and all of that. I thought to myself, wait a minute, how come the young people in East Africa don't have a East African sound? And young people at that time were listening to hip hop, they were listening to rap, reggae, raga, R&B. I thought to myself, how about if we try and fuse all of these things but use local language, especially Sheng? What'll happen, what will be the outcome? Will there be an impact? And through that journey, I then created people like Heartstone, who had the song Ohiki. I created people like Shades of Black with songs like Serengeti Groove, and then fast forward, people like Kalamashaka, Tafsiri Hii, which was hip hop in Sheng. It was actually one of the first hip hop pieces of music to come out in Sheng and to hit as much as it did. And then I moved to people like Gidi Gidi Maji Maji with songs like Atoti, songs like Unbogable. Then I ventured into mixing all these genres, and when we mixed them, we had a guy called Bamzi who was a hip hop head, and then we had a guy called Waire who was very raga and R&B inspired, and then we had Nazizi who was hip hop and reggae inspired. And I put them all together and we created what we called Necessary Noise. We called it Necessary Noise because it was a mishmash of everything. Kenyan boy, Kenyan girl, and a lot of other songs came out of that group. And then I moved on to people like Nikki, Sheila Mwanyiga. I moved on to a lot of other artists, Dij, who we decided to do something that was a bit more Swahili oriented, but a lot more not R&B but neo soul, so fusing jazz, fusing soul into a sound that we created, which was called Swar&B. Later on, I worked with people like Edie from Mombasa, Edie Singer, and people like Masauti, and just brought out their careers using that same sound. So that's a bit about my journey. In total, I've worked with maybe over 100 Kenyan musicians through their careers.
As Ted's journey unfolded, he began exploring various aspects of the music industry.
I was only using one facet of my talent, which was sound. And now I'm not just a music producer, I am a creative. So I wanted to work with video. And in working with video, then I thought to myself, let's start doing music video. People like, what's it called, Waire with his songs, and then people like Dij, and I started doing videos for other artists who were not on my record label as well, because people liked the picture quality that we were creating at the time. And then I branched into television production. So I started producing TV shows. People like Mongolo and Dij on a very popular local television program called VP. And I moved into a couple of other shows, and then I got poached out of Kenya. Went to TZ, went to Nigeria, did work there, and now I ventured more into the visual side of things. In doing that, then I started producing stuff like documentaries as well. Ads for different ad campaigns across Africa, and I found myself in the UK by 2007. Back in 2007, what I wanted to do was train a bit more and introduce animation to my knowledge base, so that I could be more versatile in terms of what I could offer. So I worked for Steel Drum Studios in London. Some of the work we did was for Adidas, Puma, Nike, the Mayor of London, and a whole host of other productions. But these were now more film and animation oriented and very little sound. Then I moved to Nigeria and I did a lot of documentaries, from governors to presidents to different people. And at some point I got tired, because I was living out of a suitcase consistently. You know, you're not based in one place. You're constantly, literally like what are they called? Like, what are those gangsters called? Hitman. I was literally like a hitman, living out of a suitcase with a couple of laptops, a hard drive, and a camera consistently, and a tripod. So even when I walked around, people would be like, yo, what does that guy do? Because you have this long tripod box and people don't know it's a tripod. People think, okay, this is special ops or some crazy stuff. So I came back home, and coming back home, I realized that the music industry had changed. The sound that people wanted to listen to was not the sound that I wanted to make anymore. And I was in a transition mentally. So at the transition point, I just thought to myself, maybe let me take a break, start my family, figure out what it is that I really want to leave as a legacy, because I wasn't feeling the music anymore, you know. It gets to a point as a creative, you've challenged yourself so much that you now don't have any more challenge in you for that specific thing. And what you're creating is, how do I explain it? You're trying to create sound that has never been created before. So people are looking and listening to what you're doing, and they're like, mazeo ni deep sana hatuelewi.
When you listen to the music produced by Ted or experience his creations, you can feel the passion.
People say I wear my heart on my sleeve. If I put myself into something, I want to see the best of it. Even if it hasn't been done before, I want us to challenge and not just do a basic thing, but really, how far can we push this envelope? How far can we take it? So that people go like, wow, I didn't expect that to come out of Africa. Or because there's so much beauty in Africa, but the creatives don't challenge themselves to a point where they can create over and beyond what has been created before. Kuna watu wengi sana copy paste, because that's easier to do, you know. You see something or you listen to something and you say, well, I can copy that in the studio. I can, you know, let me take my camera and try and copy that. But for me, it's always been how far with this camera or with this piece of leather or with this microphone, how far can I push the envelope, and what else can be done from it, as opposed to what we're just normally used to seeing or hearing. Because you know, if you're copying and pasting, you're not going to stand out. The people who stand out are the people who dare to push the envelope slightly further, you know. And for me, that's so important. Leave your mark through a legacy of, that guy did what other people didn't dare to do. You know, they call it pace setting. I think I just been born to be a pioneer and a pace setter. That's it's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes unaweza fanya kitu mtu asikuelewe kabisa, sawa wanashindwa buda ulikuwa una think you know. But that's just how it is for me. I like to be, that's where I thrive. I don't thrive in copying and pasting. I thrive in, how can this be different? What can we do possibly that makes us look, sound, feel different?
Whether it's his music, luxury leather brand, or the room where this video was shot, you'll sense a strong African influence.
I was born in Africa. Or rather, Africa was born in me. How do I portray it? I portray it through the works of my hands. So things around me must be African. I am not white. I was born black. And I was born in a continent that has been known as the dark continent. In other words, you're trying to cover it so that people don't see it and people think it's a bad place to be. Africa is colorful, Africa is vibrant, Africa is beautiful. And just those three things, there's so much that you can derive just, using what we have at our fingertips. For instance, the leather we work with is 100% African. The furthest we go to acquire leather is Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Uganda. So all of those are African bases that we're getting our leather from. We get a large majority of our leather from Kenya. When I started out, people wouldn't tell you that leather was available in Kenya. It was like very hush-hush, because there are a lot of people afraid that if Kenyans find out that these raw materials are available, they might, create something that we have no control of. But in creating things, we create jobs, we create opportunities, we feed families, we enable people to progress. Now that is what we should all be about, You guys as a media team, you've created something that wasn't there before you started. Now, it may just be what you guys look at as a small channel, but you're having an impact on other people. You're having an influence on other people. People are watching what you're doing and saying to themselves, oh, so it can be done. Your friends are looking at you and they might not be saying it, but they're looking at you in admiration of, si hawa watu mazee wameenda wakafanya hiyo kitu. Labda mi sina job na na complain hapa. Let me also come out and do something or join them. You're creating opportunities, and those opportunities create money opportunities, and money means food on your table, and it means that unajiajiri, na kujiajiri ni kujiempower. You can't wait for government to empower you. It's your mindset that empowers you. So if you are going to have a mindset of constantly giving up, then you're going to be nothing. But if you're going to have the mindset of, I too can do, then you go out and do it, and you'll create something out of nothing. I mean, think about Mark, Meta, the story of Meta and Mark. Before Mark, there was no Meta. How much is Meta worth since 2007? If you fast forward, it's a very short time, but how much is it worth? How many job opportunities has Meta created? How many job opportunities? You're on YouTube. Before 2006, there was no YouTube. There was no what we call VOD, video on demand. But now that it's there, how many opportunities have been created for people? It's a lot. And it takes just one person to say, no, let's not do it how it was done. Let's try and do it different. And by doing it different, all of a sudden, poof.
Settling down, Ted decided to start a brand inspired by his late wife.
The story of Jokajok is a very emotive story. What happened is when I came back, I spent a couple of years just floating in the wind, not knowing what I really want to do. But then I was busy trying to think that maybe we should fuse music and fashion. And infusing music and fashion, we'll be able to sell t-shirts, merchandise, and that kind of stuff, and push the brand, but also push the name. So I created something called R&B, Swahili R&B. But I realized, first of all, one, naming is everything. If you have SWA, a white person is not going to pronounce those. SWA becomes hard for them to pronounce. And it was SWARNB. It's not a word, it's a made-up word. It became very difficult, and marketing that became hard, and I was just doing t-shirts. Basically, I was flipping t-shirts. So you buy t-shirts, you put your brand on it and go and sell it. And I thought to myself, that's not challenging, man. How can you be more challenging? And at that same time, it just so happened that I met Regina, who's now late. And my late wife had the knack of pushing you slightly further. And we started doing jackets, leather jackets. We started doing stuff like that. But then she conceived, and it was a very difficult pregnancy. So through that difficulty, she had to have bed rest. But just before that, she had bought a bag from, I think it was from Kikomba or something, but it was made out of sisal. And she said, I really wish we could find leather and make bags. I think bags would be, kwanza these ones, we can sell them a lot. And that stuck in my mind. So fast forward, Regina gives birth to my little daughter, Jamila. And after she gave birth, she said, I think now I'm ready, no more bed rest. As soon as this child hits 3 months, I want to do my brand, a fashion brand. So I designed a label for her. We started doing the marketing. This was like on a Wednesday. I designed the label. Thursday, she posted the label. Friday, she passed away, which was really that caught me off guard. So I took a year off just to raise the child, because now here I was with a 3-month-old child. Regina's mom is in mourning. My mom is too old to be raising a child. I've got no nanny. So I had to take time off, raise the child alone. When the child hit the 1-year mark, I started thinking to myself, all the conversations that we had had, and I thought, I think I can make bags. Let me start doing my R&D, research and development of where can I find leather, and also using my design background to build and design a bag. And after I finished the prototype, I remember the guy who was my assistant saying, there's one thing missing. We have a bag, but we don't have a name. And literally, I said, we'll call it Jokajok. And he looks at me and he says, what? We were in a restaurant at that time, and I said, let's dash back home. It's in my head. I don't know how, but it's just in my head. Let's call it Jokajok. So I went, and the design that I had envisioned in my head, I created it, and that's the logo that we have to date. It has never changed. It's J-O, which stands for Josiah, K-A, which stands for Qatar, which is my late wife's surname. Josiah is my surname. And J-O, which is my daughter's surname, Josiah. And the K is Kenya, so Jokajok came to life. And it has what we call the warrior, the African warrior with his spear, protecting Africa, and he stands on the A, which protects all of Africa. And I believe that us, as the descendants of those African warriors who had fought for us to stay, to gain independence, all of Africa, all those Mau Mau warriors and all of those people, Akina Deden and all those people, they fought for our independence so that we could do what? We could protect ourselves and create. So Jokajok stands for the protection of African raw materials, the value add that we should add, and the circular economy that we need to create within ourselves so that we then can buy from each other. And in buying from each other, what we do is we create a circular economy, and the economy starts to spiral up, a bit like a tornado. At the bottom of the tornado is a small little circle, but the higher you go, the bigger it is. So that is how we can create wealth, you know. It starts with a small little circle, and the circular economy becomes bigger and bigger and bigger as we grow. And people don't see the value in value addition of African raw material. People think, oh, sasa mimi nimewachiwa shamba ya nusu eka, sasa mimi nitaduni nayo. na mimi ni mtu wa IT, lakini nilifanya food and beverage. The answer is right there. Panda nyanya ndugu yangu ama dadangu, chukua hizo nyanya, enda YouTube, figure out how to make tomato sauce and ketchup and chili. Enda nunua hizo vitu ndogo, anza nazo kwa jikoni yako, tengeneza hizo tomato sauce, tuuzie, tutanunua. Next thing you know, uko ndani ya supermarket. You have, what have you done? Value add. And in creating that chain, what have you done with that half acre? You've created jobs. And you've created wealth for yourself. That is so important. We don't see the value of the little things that we have that can become big.
Starting any brand typically involves facing the challenge of limited resources.
People always say that I started my chicken farm with 1 egg. Bro, it's not like that. And then, once you've passed what people call youth, you can't go to Gava and ask for funding. And even if you're young, you still can't go to Gava and ask for funding. You have to figure out where is the money to do this concept of making ketchups going to come from, because you're going to need some machines here and there. And as soon as you Google and you realize, oh, these things need like $20,000 US, sesame, or 4 million, happy. But for me, it was, let's start with what we have, the little we have, and let's just start growing it. Pole. Grow the brand, slowly by slowly. So I didn't actually start with a lot of money. What I had was the wise words of Snoop Dogg. Do you know them? You have to know them. You're younger than me, so you have to know them. Use what you got to get what you want. Use what you got. Okay? And I thought to myself, what do I have? I have cameras, microphones, a whole studio. What does that mean? Already in advertising, I can cough and I can create an ad because I have all the tools. Okay? And I have prototypes of bags. Take the photographs. And what else do I have? I have social media numbers. At the time, I think we had only 3,000 followers. But I said to myself, if 3 people a month buy this bag, that's 1% of my followers. That's not too bad. Let me build my social media following so that it's big enough to sustain more than 3 bags a month. And let's price the items in such a way that we're not burning, but we're not making a profit. We're just building the brand. Because if you think you're going to make profit from day one, that's a rumor. You won't. And in building the brand, we did almost, I think, 2 years of just brand building. So no salaries, no nothing, just brand building. That means you can pay your electricity, you can pay your water, you can pay your workers, you can get your raw material, blah, blah, blah. But you just keep going because you know somewhere up ahead, it will just, the floodgates will open. And at that point, if you have not been brand building and you've not been getting the workers to constantly create brand and make the mistakes and then correct the mistakes and, figure out how it should be done and how fast they can do it, when the floodgates open, you won't be ready. So we did that, and our growth started with, actually it's funny because today I was trying to remember how much money I started Jokajok with, and it was about $2,000. That's what I had from a project that I had done. Remember I told you I was doing film and animation, so somebody said, I'm starting a news channel, can you create for me the logo for the channel and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I'll create the logo. I created the logo. I worked remotely, sent the stuff to the client. The client was happy. I took the money and straight started buying leather to do the prototypes and stuff like that. And I said, even if we sell and get the 2,000 back, we've not gotten at a loss. And if we manage to pay all the guys who are working for us, it was only 2 guys at the time, then we're cool. Because they've gotten their money, we've gotten bags, we've gotten marketing, and it's going to start to grow slowly. So It wasn't a hustle.
Yeah.
I don't use the word hustle because I grew up in Chicago and I know what the real word hustle means, which is kuosha watu, kuosha wase. Mimi sikuwa naosha wase. Mimi nilikuwa na make sure natengeneza bag. Hiyo bag ni up to spec na kuuzia bag. Nachukua hizo pesa narudisha kwa biashara, natengeneza bag ingine. Kama bag inaweza zaana ziko kama 2, 3, 4, 5 hivyo, ikienda ikigrow naweza uza zaidi, na nikaenda hivyo.
When someone believes in your brand as much as you do, it provides the motivation to keep moving forward.
One December, I was just sitting down and somebody, I remember, sent me a message and they were from Norway or Denmark and they said, "Hi, I'd like to buy 4 of your bags."
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So I put my phone aside and I was like, najua pia watu wa IG saa zingine wanasukumwa. Mtu anaweza kuuzia tu feel good alafu uanze kumarket akwambia ilikuwa ni uongo tu. I was just inquiring. So I thought to myself, this must be just one of those hype things. And the next day she sent a message and said, "I'm serious, I want to buy these bags. I'm currently in Kenya. Where can I get them?" I don't have the bags. But I have the raw material and I have the workers. So I put them to work. And she took 4 bags and the first payoff was maybe 150K. She paid 150K for bags. And I said, wait a minute. This means that I am on to something that somebody somewhere is willing to pay 150K for. Get up, go and do it. That's all the validation I need. I just said, kaende, sasa kama mbaya. Nikarudi kwa tannery, nikachukua mangozi, nikaambia wake, sasa jaza tu. She did this in December. And that was the validation that I needed. The validation of somebody can afford to pay 150K for bags, and believe in the brand more than me. And as soon as that happened, I realized that this person has become a blessing. So by Valentine's the following year, I just started stocking up as much as I could afford to, you know, and I said, sell this bag at break even. So I created a bag called the Winter Tote bag. And the Winter Tote bag was at the time about 9K, but it had 0 profit on it. And I said, I don't care. It's not about the profit. It's about the narrative. If we get this bag into many people's hands, it will become the story of Jokajok. So get it into as many people's hands at the most affordable price.
Jokajok bags are exclusively crafted from leather.
Now leather is an expensive trade, because when you're buying leather, you buy it per square foot, and you cannot say nipatie square foot mbili. How the hide is how you're going to buy the hide. So the hide can be 13 square feet or 4 square feet or whatever. So you buy it in terms of feet and hides, and also it's not like going to Kikomba and saying or going down to Rivertex or Kikomi or whatever and saying, give me 3 yards of yellow, 4 yards of blue. You can't do that with leather. You have to actually order the color, wait. And if you're ordering a color, it means that you have to order 300, 400 square feet per color. Now at Jokajok, you realize that we have a lot of color. That for me was the unique selling point. You have to have a USP. What's your unique selling point? When I came into the industry, people were doing brown bags, black bags. End of story. I said, no. Give me red, give me blue, give me yellow, give me green. In fact, actually, it's not me who said it. It's my mom who told me, how you're going to stand out is if you make bags with color. Because women like color. And I thought, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So I started buying color. And I'd buy like 2-3 pieces wherever I could find them, and make the bag. Some colors did very well, some colors collapsed. So still you're doing R&D and trying to stay afloat, research and development and trying to stay afloat.
The growth of Jokajok has been consistent despite encountering challenges along the way.
But now, fast forward, we're at the maybe 2.5 year mark, 3 year mark now, and we have managed to stabilize our production end in terms of the tanneries, and production end in terms of staffing, because staffing is also a challenge. We've expanded staffing by almost 100%. We've expanded machinery. We started with one stitching machine. We've expanded that as well. Where we are right now is not where we started from. We started from one very dingy dungeon. Literally, we used to call it the dungeon because we were working down here, and sometimes rats would be walking on top. You leave a piece of leather and you find the karat has eaten it or scratched it or crapped on it or pissed on it, which is even worse because it's chemical. But God has been faithful, but it's also been hard work, very hard work. When I tell you hard work, I'm not just saying it because to say it. If you're passionate about something, you're going to be tested. When those tests come, they're not easy tests. Sometimes, like today, I've just gotten news that there's a tannery that is no longer going to be doing a certain color of leather because acquiring the chemicals has become too expensive because of the dollar rate, which means that now we have to kill one of our highest selling colors. For me, that's going to affect the bottom line, you know, and there's very little I can do. I don't have money to go and open up a tannery. Just to give you the scope of how much money a tannery spends, in a month, a tannery's electricity bill can be over 500,000 Kenyan shillings. The electricity bill alone, not the water bill, because tanneries need a whole lot of water, not the staffing bill, because tanneries need over 100 employees. So just imagine when a person like that tells you, I'm sorry, I cannot give you any more bag leather because it is proving to be an unviable and unsustainable product for me. You know, you have to go back to the drawing board, and figure some stuff out. So there are challenges, and I'm sure there are challenges for everyone in the MSME sector, you know, micro and small enterprises.
Ted embarked on Jokajok later in life, proving that age shouldn't hinder your dreams, no matter how ambitious they may be.
Your first idea might be the most ridiculous idea ever, and people might laugh at you. Your second idea might also be stupid. You might be too old, quote unquote. When I started Jokajok, I was 48. You know, ushachapa sell by, ume expire. Hata mademo akikucheki wanasema buda, wewe ni mbabas, buda huwezi make. Unajua, si noma, it's part of life. What is your journey? The guy who started KFC started when he was 65. Now mademo anasema ushachapa, si bado anaenda KFC kumanga. Alafu. Samsung started as a supermarket. Let me give you another story of somebody who started Gillette Nasset. The guy was 45, walking down the railway line that led to where the gold miners were mining for gold. Now they would mine for gold with their djembes. Now those djembes, when the iron had sort of become bland or broken, they would throw them outside, and some of them would land on the railway line. Now the railway line is made out of iron, and those big bogies also, they're carrying heavy weights with iron, and what would happen is they would run over those chippings, those metal chippings, and those chippings would become sharp. And he took one and did this and said, these people need to shave. Actually, this is a good shaving blade. Think about Gillette Nasset. How much money are they on now? How much? Everybody's got a shaver. He went, patented it, and started making this thing and became a billionaire. The rest is history. So when I say don't think that your idea is stupid, in other words, usijilimit. Usijilimit. Sababu lazima ufanye vitu nyingi. Hata dogi ikienda kutafuta mfupa, inanusa kila mahali kabla ipate hiyo mfupa, iendangi ati direct. See a dog just searching. And that's how the dog is going to find the bone. Consider yourself the dog. Consider the ground, the world of ideas. Find your bone.
Asante sana.
Yeah, sawa.